version of Cristiano Ronaldo do you think was the best? Some say it was his early years in Madrid.
Oh, you beauty!
Others might say it was during the three-peat. But for me, no football player in history comes close to the 07-08 version of Ronaldo.
Now Ronaldo, long way out. What a goal! Not too far out.
At 23 years old, this man was without a doubt the deadliest winger the world has ever seen, and literally no defender could stop him. But to get to this point, his story was even more impossible than it seems. As a child, he had to beg for food, sweep the streets, and was even diagnosed with a heart defect that should have ended his life before it even began. So, in order to understand how Ronaldo became the most terrifying winger in the history of the game, we have to start from the very beginning. February 5th, 1985. Cristiano Ronaldo was born on the Portuguese island of Madeira, located over 1,000 kilometers from Lisbon. He's the youngest of 4 children, but he was almost not even born at all, as his family was extremely poor and his father was an alcoholic, which caused a lot of strain on the family. So his mother wanted to have Ronaldo aborted, as she simply couldn't afford to look after him. The doctors didn't allow her to go through with it, but she still made her own attempts by drinking warm beer and running long distances. But God had a plan for Cristiano. So, just like that, the boy was born. His early years were still very tough, with his mother working as a cook and a cleaner just to make ends meet, and her children often had to join her when she was sweeping the streets, while Ronaldo's dad suffered from mental health issues. He was a former soldier who was shipped off to fight in Angola, where the soldiers would drink beer rather than untreated water, causing Ronaldo's dad to become an alcoholic, and his alcoholism made it hard for him to hold down a job. Ronaldo had to share a room with his siblings, and the only time he could escape from his worries was when he was playing street football with makeshift goals on the dirty roads of his hometown. He would even skip meals and skip school to play street football, and was so poor that his first football was made of rags. Ronaldo would often cry when things didn't go his way, both on the pitch and off it, giving him the nickname Crybaby. But his hatred of losing meant he kept pushing himself to be a better footballer, and his father eventually found a job as a kitman for Andorinha in the 5th tier of Portuguese football, and this meant that at the age of 7, Ronaldo landed himself a spot in the youth academy, where he very quickly stood out, winning individual awards in local football tournaments and earning the nickname Abelinha, or Little B, for his small size and quick speed. And soon he would make his first transfer to Clube Desportivo Nacional, one of the biggest clubs on the island. But the transfer fee for Cristiano Ronaldo was far from the millions he would command in his later career. This transfer was just 20 footballs and some equipment for his former team. Talk about a bargain! By that time, people were starting to notice him, with his childhood friend Jose Semedo saying that at every tournament he went from the age of 10, he was named the best player, and it wasn't long before Sporting Lisbon would visit the island, set a challenge for the youth academy. The player who scores the most goals gets a spot in the academy. By the end of the match, Ronaldo was tied on goals with his friend Albert Fantao, but his friend then passed Ronaldo the ball to let him score and win the academy spot, with Fantao saying he knew Ronaldo could go all the way. So, Sporting signed Ronaldo for 1,500 euros, and young Cristiano would have to say goodbye to his former life and move to Sporting's famous Academia de Alcochete on the mainland 1,000 kilometers away from home. But life in Lisbon was not easy, and Ronaldo was bullied by his teammates, often having physical confrontations with them as he struggled to control his emotions. Ronaldo felt homesick, and he was so poor that he even had to beg for food at his local McDonald's. He'd wait outside late at night for leftover burgers till around 11 p.m., and luckily, a few employees took pity on him and gave him some free burgers. At school, Ronaldo's classmates mocked his Madeira accent and bullied him for being different, but this only made Ronaldo even more determined to succeed, and he spent all his free time working hard to be the best footballer possible. Ronaldo was so competitive that he would race his friends to the gym, and when he'd lose, he wouldn't talk to them for days. He struggled in school though, and at one point threw a chair at a teacher who he thought had disrespected him, but this got him expelled from school, meaning he only had one option left: make it pro or live the rest of his life in poverty. His mom said if he didn't make it as a footballer, he would have become a bricklayer, and many of his coaches thought this was the best case for him, as they said he was too skinny and weak to make it as a footballer, and soon he would receive some news that would almost end his career before it got started. At age 15, Cristiano Ronaldo had a major health scare as he was diagnosed with a rare heart condition called tachycardia, which happens when the heart beats too fast, beating at a resting rate of more than 100 beats a minute. This was devastating news for Ronaldo, as it meant he might have to quit being a footballer, but instead, Sporting made a dramatic decision to try to save his career by getting doctors to operate on the 15-year-old and use a laser to cauterize parts of his heart, and thankfully thankfully, the operation was a success, so much so that he was back on the pitch just days after surgery, and it wasn't long before his dedication finally started paying off, because when he was 16, Cristiano was promoted up through the ranks of Sporting's youth teams, becoming the first player to play with the club's under-16 team, under-17 team, under-18 team, B team, and senior team all in one season. By August 2002, he made his senior debut for Sporting in the Champions League qualifying round against Inter Milan, where he came on in the 58th minute and showed off his dribbling skills on the wing, with his raw talent being on display. His coach Ladislav Baloney thought that he was dribbling too much and that he had to fight with Ronaldo to stop him dribbling, but already Baloney could see that Ronaldo was a born competitor with a special maturity for his age, so he decided Ronaldo would stay with the senior team, and he believed that as long as he avoided injuries, he would be a very good player. Ronaldo was lightning quick and could dribble through the entire team single-handedly, but he was very skinny, weighing only 60 kilograms, meaning he was going to struggle to hold his own against big defenders. But still, Ronaldo soon made his league debut for Sporting, coming off the bench against Braga, and in his next game against Moreirense, he would start the match, and in his first start, Ronaldo would score his first and second goals for Sporting in a 3-0 win. He went on to finish that season with 11 starts in the league and 14 appearances off the bench, and with a total of 5 goals and 6 assists in all competitions, but already it was clear he was destined for bigger things. So Ronaldo's new agent Jorge Mendes started offering him around to Europe's top clubs. Barcelona rejected him, Liverpool rejected him, and the only club to show interest at this time was Arsenal, but the deal fell through, and in a few years Arsene Wenger's side would really be living to regret that. But now it wouldn't be long for Cristiano to play in one match that would change his entire life, but believe me, the struggles were far from over. Now, if you're enjoying the story so far, I promise it gets so much crazier with more drama, heartache, and ultimately glory. But first, if you really think Ronaldo is the greatest of all time, subscribe, because I think so too. And it seems like so did Sir Alex Ferguson, but at this point in the story, he just saw the raw potential, because Manchester United were keeping close tabs on Ronaldo, with assistant manager Carlos Queiroz recommending him to Alex Ferguson even before Ronaldo had made his debut. But United at this time were trying very hard to sign Ronaldinho, as he was one of the best wingers in the world, but they just couldn't get that deal over the line. It was then a pre-season friendly where United faced Sporting, where Ronaldo started and stole the show. He wasn't even supposed to play in this game, but Sporting had sold their main winger Quaresma just a week earlier, meaning he was next in line. And after the game ended, the entire Manchester United team was begging Ferguson to sign him. Michael Silvestre said, at the start, no one had even heard of Ronaldo, but by the end, everyone knew about him. So before United left Lisbon, Ferguson spoke with Ronaldo and Jorge Mendes, while the players waited on the coach for more than an hour, while Ferguson fast-tracked negotiations to make sure that no other club could sign Ronaldo before United, and it was Ferguson's personality that made Ronaldo choose to join the Red Devils, who initially planned to loan Ronaldo back to Sporting for one more season to help him develop as a footballer. But after his incredible performance, they decided to bring him straight to Manchester. This was a key decision, because Barcelona were still interested in Ronaldo, but wanted to wait one more year before signing, so eventually, when Ferguson got on the team coach and was asked by the Manchester United players if he had signed Ronaldo, Ferguson just smiled. It was just a matter of days until the deal was sealed, and Cristiano Ronaldo arrived in Manchester to sign for United for £12 million, which was at the time the most expensive fee paid by a British club for a teenage footballer, as the rise to the top was set to kick off. But the pressure was about to get so much bigger. Ronaldo had worn the number 28 shirt at Sporting and actually chose that number at United too, but Ferguson refused. He decided an 18-year-old Ronaldo was worthy of the iconic number 7 jersey, which had been worn by United legends such as George Best, Eric Cantona, and David Beckham. So immediately there were huge expectations and pressure for the 18-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, who said, "I was forced to live up to such an honor." But his move was so rushed and unexpected that he didn't have any time to prepare, so he arrived in Manchester unable to speak any English, and with an accent like Fergie's, communication was going to be impossible. Still, it wouldn't be long until Ronaldo made his debut for Manchester United in the first game of the season against Bolton Wanderers, and while Ronaldo started on the substitutes bench, he was brought on for the last 29 minutes of the match and played so well that Manchester United legend George Best said it was undoubtedly the most exciting debut performance I've ever seen, saying that Ronaldo was genuinely two-footed and that he dealt well with the physical side of the game, as United won 4-0 and Ronaldo won a penalty with his dribbling skills. And after the game, even no-nonsense Bolton manager Sam Allardyce was praising him, saying Ronaldo changed the game. And a few days later, he would also make his international debut for the Portugal senior team, playing the second half of a friendly match against Kazakhstan after replacing captain Luis Figo at halftime. The following month, Ronaldo would make his first Premier League start for United against Charlton Athletic, and a few days later, he would make his first start in the Champions League group stage against Stuttgart. And at that time, he was used on both the left wing and the right wing, and it was on the right wing where he would score his first Premier League goal with a free kick against Portsmouth before getting an assist a few minutes later as United won 3-0. But while Ronaldo was being praised by George Best, he was being slammed by the English media for his elaborate stepovers and a perception that he was showing off, with BBC pundit Alan Hansen saying he's got the tricks and party pieces, but they're not much good unless there's something at the end of it all. And all of Ronaldo's silky skills and dyed blonde hair made him a target for defenders who wanted to injure him, even from his first match for United when opposition defender Nicky Hunt admitted later that, with one of his first touches, I put him on the deck. In his first season at United, Ronaldo was full of tricks but didn't score many goals or get many assists, with teammate Paul Scholes saying, he used to drive you up the wall because he's doing all these tricks and flicks, but we wanted to see people score goals and make goals. And he was still too skinny for the physical Premier League, so he used to put weights on his ankles in training to get stronger. But Scholes wasn't the only United player frustrated with Ronaldo, as Manchester United star striker Ruud van Nistelrooy was also losing patience with the Portuguese winger, saying that he had a telepathic bond with David Beckham, but after Ronaldo came in, it was different, as he would dribble everywhere and be unpredictable, and he would often berate Ronaldo in training for not crossing the ball. And eventually Van Nistelrooy got so frustrated that he exploded at Ronaldo in a verbal attack that could destroy any young player's confidence. For Ferguson, it was like Van Nistelrooy had attacked his own son, and this would prove to be the end of his career at United, as Fergie opted to protect Cristiano, shifting the Dutch striker out of the club. That's a couple of years down the line. In that first season, Cristiano only scored 6 goals and was still adapting to the English game, as Manchester United struggled throughout the season, finishing 15 points off Arsenal, who had just gone invincible. This was a transitional period for United. Beckham had left, the treble-winning team was aging, and the future of the club was being placed in 2 young superstars in Rooney and Ronaldo, both of whom were still just teenagers. Ronaldo also had an electric Euro campaign in the summer of 2004, where he made it to the final and was named to the team of the tournament, as he was now being talked about as the best young player in the world, but still, he was far from the finished article. Ronaldo started slowly in his second season at United and didn't even score a Premier League goal until December, with even Manchester United's official website saying his second term didn't quite live up to his first. And at this stage, it was unclear whether the young player would reach his full potential. Sometimes his attempts to try to do too much on the pitch angered his manager, with Ferguson once even giving Ronaldo the famous hairdryer treatment, yelling, "Who do you think you are?" and making Ronaldo cry in the dressing room in front of his teammates. But this was because Ferguson knew Ronaldo's potential and also knew that talent alone wasn't enough, and it's this tough love that would help Cristiano become a great, as Sir Alex forced him to confront his weaknesses and work even harder to be the best. But whilst trying to make it in Manchester, life was about to get a lot harder for Cristiano. At the start of his third season at United, while on international duty, Portugal head coach Luis Felipe Scolari had to pass on some terrible news that Ronaldo's father had passed away. Scolari said nobody knew how to tell him, and nobody wanted to. So, Scolari had to break the news to Ronaldo, who was determined to play despite the heartbreaking news, and said, "I can't do anything for my father today, so I'll play tomorrow." Just 20 years old at the time, Ronaldo had to deal with the death of his father, who, after a lifetime of drinking, passed away from a liver problem in 2005. And although Ronaldo said, "I never really knew him well," he would have liked to know him better, and has struggled to talk about the subject, even breaking down in tears on TV when seeing a video of his late father telling him how proud he was of him. And he has said he keeps his father's ashes with him at his house and talks to them all the time to help him be a better person. That third season at Old Trafford, Ronaldo again started slowly and was letting his frustrations get the better of him, as he was also banned for one match by UEFA for showing his middle finger to Benfica fans who abused him in a Champions League match, with Ronaldo saying, "There's nothing to justify the way the crowd treated me." But after that, he hit a purple patch in February, scoring 5 goals in 3 games, and finished the season with 12 goals overall, as United finished second behind Chelsea. And Ronaldo's form was starting to become more consistent, but it wasn't enough for Ruud van Nistelrooy, whose frustrations at Ronaldo caused him to lose his temper in training one day and shout, "What are you going to do? Complain to your daddy?" Which, although it was referring to United coach Carlos Queiroz, still reminded Ronaldo of his father's death 8 months earlier, player and caused him to break down in tears. And that incident was the last straw, as Ferguson decided the two couldn't play together and decided to sell Van Nistelrooy to Real Madrid that summer. So Ronaldo would have to instead build a partnership with Wayne Rooney, and that was put in jeopardy that summer at the World Cup in an incident that would make Cristiano Ronaldo become the most hated man in England. Portugal started the World Cup with 3 wins in Group D, and Ronaldo became the youngest player to score for Portugal at the World Cup when he scored a penalty against Iran. A win against the Netherlands set up a quarterfinal showdown against England in an extremely tight game that went in Portugal's favor after Ronaldo's Manchester United teammate Wayne Rooney stamped on Ricardo Carvalho and was sent off. But Ronaldo was one of the Portuguese players trying to get the referee to send Rooney off, and then a TV camera caught him winking at the Portuguese bench, causing English media to suggest he had influenced the referee. And after Portugal beat England on penalties, anger against Ronaldo was so high that one newspaper even published a dartboard with his face on it and reported that Rooney would snap Ronaldo in two the next time they trained together. Ronaldo was so unhappy in England at that point that he even told a Portuguese newspaper, "I don't want to stay in England," but his teammates at United had his back, with Rooney already talking to Ronaldo after the game and understanding why Ronaldo tried to get him sent off, saying that he would do the same, so he told Ronaldo good luck for the rest of the tournament. And when Ronaldo returned to United after the summer, he was a changed man and had even grown stronger in the summer by hitting the gym. And when he was back at Manchester United's Carrington training ground, Rooney said, "This is in the past. Let's speak about the present. Let's win trophies together." And that season, even though fans booed him at every Premier League stadium he visited, Cristiano Ronaldo had his best season so far, scoring 23 goals, including 6 in 3 games in December, as Manchester United won the Premier League for the first time in 4 years. But that wasn't enough for Ronaldo, who wanted to be even better, and even told United coach Rene Meulensteen that he wanted to be the best player in the world. So he analyzed video clips and worked on how to improve his striking ability, spending hours working on his positioning and his finishing from all different angles, and also developed his legendary free kick technique. Meulensteen said Ronaldo always wanted to score the perfect goal, a 25-yard shot into the top corner, but he made Ronaldo work on shooting from other places and set him a target of 40 goals for the next season, almost double what he had scored the season before. And now, here we are, entering the greatest individual season in Premier League history, the version of Cristiano Ronaldo that lives in the heart of all football fans around the world. What a year! Some people forget that Ronaldo actually had a slow start to this season. He got a red card in the second game of the season for headbutting an opponent. Even when he came back from his ban, he didn't score until the last game of September. But then, he hit the best form of his career so far and smashed his target of 40 goals by scoring 42 goals that season and also getting 8 assists, giving him 50 goal contributions in 49 games, which for a striker is incredible. But Ronaldo wasn't even playing as a striker. He was still playing as a winger in a 4-4-2, which made that feat even more unbelievable. United went neck and neck with Chelsea in the Premier League, but even the strength of Chelsea couldn't stop Ronaldo, whose stunning partnership with Rooney tore teams to shreds, like Aston Villa, who United beat 4-0 with Ronaldo scoring with a back heel. And the battle between United and Chelsea went back and forth, with United second until March, when they took the top spot and held on, with Chelsea right behind them, until Ronaldo scored a penalty on the final day of the season to seal their second Premier League title in a row. But this season got even more magical once we look at Europe. That season, Ronaldo scored one of his trademark headers against Roma in the Champions League quarterfinals, seemingly defying gravity. Then, in the semifinals against Barcelona, Ronaldo had the chance to give United the lead, but he missed a penalty. But United won the second leg 1-0 to reach the Champions League final in Moscow, where they faced Chelsea. And Ronaldo scored the opening goal for United with another towering header. Frank Lampard equalized, and the game would go to penalties in the Russian rain. Ronaldo missed his penalty, giving John Terry the chance to win the match for Chelsea. But God was on Ronaldo's side, as he slipped and missed his spot kick too. And then Nicolas Anelka also missed for Manchester United to win the European Champions League. This was the pinnacle of his career so far, the day he dreamed of his entire life, and he just wished his father could see it all happen. As the United players partied the night away, Ronaldo was back in the training pitch the very next day, because for him, this was only the start. Ronaldo's incredible performances that season would see him win the FIFA World Player of the Year award and also his first Ballon d'Or, where he would beat Lionel Messi and Liverpool's Fernando Torres. He also picked up pretty much every individual award you can think of in England, as he was named the best football player in the world. But despite being a hero at Old Trafford, Ronaldo was dreaming of the Bernabeu and even openly told his teammates he wanted to leave, saying he had been at United for long enough, and even suggested that United forcing him to stay was like slavery. And Manchester United made him train in a white training bib, as he wanted to wear the white of Real Madrid so badly, but they refused to sell him that summer. And Ronaldo said that while he wanted a new challenge, he would put his heart and soul into Manchester United for one more year. But all his hard work on the training ground had caused damage to his cartilage in his right ankle and he needed surgery. So he ended up missing the start of the 2008-09 season, and United struggled without him, losing in the Community Shield and Super Cup and dropping to 15th place in the league. But when he came back, he scored 8 goals in 8 games to fire United up the table, and by January, United were top of the league, where they would stay until the end of the season to win their 3rd Premier League title in a row thanks to 18 league goals and 7 assists from CR7. But it was the Champions League where Ronaldo would perform his real magic in the quarterfinals against Porto, where fans were booing the former Sporting player. He hit a shot from 40 yards out at an incredible 64 miles per hour right into the top corner to win the game for United and win Ronaldo the Puskas Award for the best goal of the year by any player in the world. He would then score twice in the semi-final against Arsenal to set up a final against Barcelona and a showdown against Lionel Messi in the only time the pair faced each other in the Champions League final. But unfortunately, it was Messi who was victorious on the night, with Barcelona winning 2-0 and Messi also winning that year's Ballon d'Or, with Ronaldo finishing second, as this game can be seen as the beginning of a decade-long battle between the pair. Following this final defeat, Cristiano Ronaldo managed to get the move to Real Madrid he had been longing for, and this did not come cheap, as they forked out a world record 94 million euros to make Ronaldo the most expensive and best played football player in the world. So, after 7 years at Old Trafford and going from a skinny show pony to the best player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo said goodbye to Sir Alex and left the club that would forever hold a special place in his heart. But as you know, Ronaldo's story does not end here, and in fact, it's only just getting started. On the 26th of June 2009, Cristiano Ronaldo signed for a struggling Real Madrid side, and despite already being one of the best players in the world, over the next 9 years he left a legacy that literally nobody believed could be possible, because in a total of 438 games, he scored 450 goals, won 16 major trophies, and lifted the Ballon d'Or 4 times. And all of this happening when Lionel Messi and Barcelona were arguably at the peak of their powers. This is a story that simply shouldn't have been possible. These are games that shouldn't have been won, goals that shouldn't have been scored, but yet they were. And to understand how this all happened, we have to head to Santiago Bernabeu in the summer of 2009, as the stadium was packed in white with 80,000 fans crammed in to see one man, Cristiano Ronaldo.
And then Ronaldo! Moves inside Ronaldo! Absolutely brilliant.
His unveiling ceremony was attended by more fans than any other unveiling in football history, as Ronaldo stood in front of the fans and said, "I have made my childhood dream a reality." But at this time, he was not CR7, but instead started his Real Madrid career wearing the number 9 jersey. His £80 million fee was a world record, and his wages over the 6-year contract would total more than £100 million on top of that. And at this time, Real Madrid needed to spend huge money, as they were up against one of the greatest teams ever assembled, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. That Barcelona team with Xavi and Andres Iniesta in midfield were dominating world football and had finished 9 points ahead of Real Madrid the previous season, and of course they had Lionel Messi up front, who was about to win his first Ballon d'Or, matching Ronaldo's 1 Ballon d'Or from his time at United. So Real Madrid had a huge task ahead of them when Ronaldo joined the club, and a rivalry that would span the next decade was about to be born. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo got off to a strong start at Real Madrid, scoring on his debut against Deportivo La Coruña and then scoring 5 goals in his first 4 games, making him the first Real Madrid player to score in their first 4 La Liga matches, and he also scored 2 goals in both of his first 2 Champions League games for Madrid. But then, while on international duty, he suffered an ankle injury that would keep him out for the next 6 La Liga matches, and Real would lose one of those and draw another before Ronaldo would return for his first El Clasico ever. But he could only manage 65 minutes of the game, as Madrid would lose 1-0. As the season progressed, Ronaldo struggled to find his form over the winter, scoring just twice in December and twice in January in La Liga, and even getting sent off against Malaga, until finally Ronaldo would hit top form in February, scoring or getting an assist in all but 3 games in the rest of that La Liga season. But one of those blanks again came against Barcelona, who did the double over Madrid, and that second loss to Barcelona would prove costly, as Real Madrid would finish the season on 96 points, just 3 points behind their rivals from Catalunya. And there was little luck for Madrid in cup competitions either, as they would lose in the last 16 of the Champions League against Lyon, Alcorcon. In this injury-plagued season, Ronaldo wasn't even Real Madrid's top scorer in La Liga, scoring 26 goals, one fewer than Gonzalo Higuain, and Ronaldo's total in all competitions was 33, far behind Messi's 47 for the campaign. As it stood, Ronaldo was performing well, but far below his expectations for himself. But if one thing is for sure, during his time in Real Madrid, he would age like fine wine, because he arguably just got better year after year, with two main eras being clear in Real Madrid. The first being the takedown of this Guardiola side, and the second being the three-peat team, where he cemented himself as one of the greatest of all time. But for now, things would go from bad to worse, because that summer saw more misery in the World Cup, as Ronaldo would score just one goal against North Korea. Portugal would be eliminated by Spain in the round of 16, as head coach Manuel Pellegrini was replaced by the special one, Jose Mourinho, who was fresh off the back of a treble where he defeated Barcelona on the way to the Champions League final, and now he came into Los Blancos with the sole goal of ending this Pep Guardiola dynasty. And with Ronaldo by his side, things were about to get very, very interesting. But very quickly, before we get to the Mourinho and Ronaldo era, I just really want to ask you to subscribe and let me know which version of Cristiano Ronaldo you think is the best, because we're about to see some terrifying versions of this man, as Mourinho was about to turn him into a monster. But still, Ronaldo would get off to a slow start in the 2010-11 season under Mourinho, scoring just one in his first 5 La Liga games in all 3 competitions. In the Cup, Ronaldo would be the victor, getting a header in extra time to win the match 1-0 and win his first club trophy at Real Madrid. After the game, he would say, "We are very happy. Madrid had not won this trophy in many years." But just a few days later, they would face Barcelona again, this time in the Champions League, where Madrid would lose 2-0 at home, getting knocked out by Messi and Barcelona, who would eventually go on to lift the trophy. And to make matters even worse, Barcelona also went on to lift the La Liga title, meaning, yet again, Ronaldo was outshined by Lionel Messi, who went on to lift his 3rd Ballon d'Or, making it 3-1 to the little Argentine, again winning the Ballon d'Or. At this time, the Ronaldo-Messi rivalry was beginning to really heat up, with fans around the world taking sides. But to Cristiano, that was all just noise. He had more work to do, because a league title was great, but both him and Real Madrid were chasing down that Champions League title, but they would have to wait a little longer to get there. As for this summer, he would show how good he was for Portugal, scoring 3 goals at Euro 2012 and being named in the team of the tournament, as Portugal reached the semi-finals but ultimately fell short. Yet another competition Ronaldo was going to have to wait a little longer to win. Entering the 2012-13 season, Real Madrid looked like they fell apart from the previous year. Los Blancos only won one of their first 4 games, and something was clearly wrong, as Ronaldo didn't even celebrate when scoring twice in that win. And despite Ronaldo trying to get the season back on track with 9 goals in 5 games, Real Madrid slumped as low as 3rd for much of the season, and Ronaldo's relationship with Mourinho was becoming strained, with the head coach angry at CR7 for not doing enough defensively and saying he thinks he knows everything and the coach cannot help him develop further. And Ronaldo reportedly saying, "After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" As Real Madrid eventually finished with 85 points, far behind Barcelona. On a personal level, Ronaldo scored 55 goals in all competitions, including 12 Champions League goals, as Madrid again failed at the semi-final stage. But Ronaldo's leadership role at Los Blancos was starting to be recognized, as in a match against Real Sociedad, he became the first non-Spanish player in 60 years to captain Real Madrid. After this season of underperforming, Mourinho parted ways with Ronaldo at Los Blancos, but since leaving has come out to talk about Ronaldo, saying, "Coaching him was the highlight of my career. He's the most professional player I've ever met," meaning love was definitely not lost between the 2 Portuguese stars. But as far as the managerial role, Mourinho would be replaced by Carlo Ancelotti, who was chosen by Madrid due to his record in the Champions League, because Madrid were obsessed with winning the famous trophy for the 10th time, with Ancelotti saying, "As soon as I arrived, it was the only thing that people would talk about." Cristiano Ronaldo was also obsessed with this. He hadn't won it since 2008 with Man United, and his obsession with being the best player in the world hadn't gone anywhere. The issue was just that Messi kept sweeping up the Ballon d'Or, but even without winning the Champions League or the La Liga title in that previous season, Ronaldo's individual performances were so brilliant that it landed him his 2nd Ballon d'Or for 2013. Now, when Carlo Ancelotti came in, he changed the way Ronaldo played, getting him to dribble less and pass less, and instead focus on creating close-range chances and scoring goals. And at this time, Real Madrid would sign Gareth Bale from Tottenham Hotspur to create the legendary BBC of Bale, Benzema, and Cristiano in an insanely attacking 3-4-3 formation. And Ronaldo started the 13-14 season strongly, scoring 17 goals in La Liga before the the end of November, and then playing a crucial World Cup qualifier against Sweden, which was dubbed as Ronaldo vs. Zlatan, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic scoring both Sweden's goals, but Ronaldo scored once in the first leg and then got a hat-trick in the second leg to secure Portugal's World Cup spot. Looking back to Spain, Real Madrid struggled in La Liga and ended up finishing third behind Barcelona and surprise champions Atletico Madrid, but Real would beat both those sides on the way to once again winning the Copa del Rey, and that season, Ronaldo would show up big time in the Champions League, scoring 9 in the group stage, including a hat-trick against Galatasaray and 4 against Schalke in the last 16. He'd score again against Dortmund, then get 2 goals in a 4-0 thrashing of Bayern Munich to set up a final against local rivals Atletico Madrid, the first time a Champions League final has been played between 2 teams in the same city, but it looked like a game too far for Real, who were losing 1-0 until the last minute of the match when Sergio Ramos scored to force extra time, where Real Madrid would score 3 more goals, with Ronaldo getting the final goal to seal the victory, finally giving Real Madrid La Decima, their much-desired 10th European Cup in their history, and making Ronaldo the first player to score in 2 finals for 2 different winning teams. And that season, he would finally smash Messi's goal total, with 51 goals to Messi's 41, giving him the European Golden Boot and Ronaldo of European football. Real Madrid tried their luck with Rafa Benitez in the 15-16 season, and they didn't have much of it as they were disqualified from the Copa del Rey for unknowingly fielding an ineligible player, meaning Ronaldo couldn't add to his goal tally in that tournament, and Ronaldo had a bit of a slow start under Benitez, and despite once again scoring 5 goals in one game, this time against Espanyol, which actually made him Real's all-time top scorer, he hit 9 blanks in other matches, and even said he wanted to work with Ancelotti again, but by the end of December, Real had slumped to 3rd in the league, and Benitez was sacked after he failed to beat a Valencia team led by the one and only Gary Neville. There were reports that Ronaldo was to blame for Benitez's sacking, but Benitez later said there were no problems with Ronaldo. Now, Real Madrid had a decision to make. The league looked like it might be out of reach, but there was still the Champions League to win, and their new manager had to come and hit the ground running. They decided to take a gamble on an unproven manager, but a legend of the club in Zinedine Zidane. And with Ronaldo about to enter the form of his life, Real Madrid were about to enter the greatest era in modern-day football. Real Madrid began the Zidane era winning every La Liga game from the start of March till the end of the season, but finished 2nd in the table. But we know Zizou is all about the Champions League, which is also where Ronaldo is at his best, and CR7 showed it by bagging hat-tricks against Shakhtar Donetsk and Wolfsburg, and 4 goals against Malmo as Real Madrid marched to the final, where they again faced Atletico Madrid. And again the game was tight, finishing 1-1, which meant the match went to penalties, and when Juan Fran missed for Atletico, there was only one man to step up and take the final spot kick, CR7, who scored to win the Champions League again for Los Blancos, and his goals in the Champions League that season made him the top Champions League goal scorer of all time. And that summer things just got even better for Ronaldo, as he would captain his country Portugal at Euro 2016, and Portugal were seen as massive underdogs, and that underdog status was clear to see as they drew all of their first 2 group games against Iceland and Austria, and against Hungary, Portugal were on the edge of elimination before 2 goals from Ronaldo brought the game back to 3-3, meaning Portugal squeezed into the last 16. And while head coach Fernando Santos' pragmatic approach might not have added many to Ronaldo's goal tally, it was effective in the knockout stages, and it was a team effort, with Ronaldo playing his part not as a superstar, but as his country's captain, as Portugal scraped past Croatia in extra time, then beat Poland on penalties before winning 2-0 against Wales in the semi-finals, with Ronaldo scoring Portugal's opener. But injury struck Cristiano Ronaldo in the final against France, and when that match went to extra time, Ronaldo was hobbling along the sidelines and acting more like the coach than the coach himself, shouting encouragement and tactical instructions to the players as they held on to beat France 1-0 and give Cristiano the national team trophy he craved, making him such an undisputed hero that his home island of Madeira even named an airport after him. And his triumph with Portugal would see him later that year win the first FIFA The Best award, as well as his 4th Ballon d'Or, drawing him 1 behind Lionel Messi. And Ronaldo's triumph with Portugal was followed up by one of his most successful seasons at Real Madrid, as the club won La Liga for the first time since 2012 himself, with Ronaldo scoring 25 league goals, but Ronaldo's real calling was the Tuesday night lights of the Champions League, and in this season, he saved his Champions League goals for the absolute biggest of games. In the quarterfinals against Bayern Munich, Ronaldo scored twice in the first leg to give Madrid a 2-1 advantage and scored again in the second leg, but Munich forced the game into extra time. Ronaldo then scored twice again to complete his hat-trick and lead Madrid to a 4-2 victory. He then scored another hat-trick against Atletico Madrid in the semi-finals, which was his 7th hat-trick in the Champions League. That led to a final against the rock-solid defense of Juventus, who dominated the start of the game, but then Ronaldo got the crucial first goal on 20 minutes and would later score Real Madrid's 3rd goal of the game to seal the 4-1 victory and win his 3rd Champions League with Real Madrid. And of course, it's these big game performances that led to him winning his 5th Ballon d'Or, giving him 5 apiece with Lionel Messi as the GOAT debate was reaching its peak with nothing to split the two. Now entering Ronaldo's 9th season in Real Madrid, the 2017-18 season saw Real Madrid struggle in La Liga, losing 6 games and finishing 3rd in the league. And at this time, Ronaldo's relationship with the Real Madrid hierarchy was becoming strained, with Ronaldo feeling underappreciated, saying, "I felt within the club that I was no longer considered in the same way as I was at the beginning." But yet again, Ronaldo proved he was unstoppable in the Champions League, scoring even more goals than the previous season. He got 9 goals in the group stage alone before getting 3 more in the last 16 against PSG and 3 goals in the quarterfinals against Juventus, including this spectacular bicycle kick. Madrid then beat Bayern in the semis and Liverpool in the final to give Ronaldo his 4th Champions League with Real Madrid and his 5th of his career, which at this point in time meant he was the only player in history with 5 Champions League winners' medals. But despite his huge trophy haul, Ronaldo didn't feel like Real Madrid, and especially club president Florentino Perez, appreciated him in the same way that Barcelona appreciated Messi or PSG appreciated Neymar, and he didn't receive enough support from the club over a tax dispute with the Spanish government that had caused him a lot of stress. He even told his agent that he regretted not leaving the previous summer, so Real Madrid said if a club offers 100 million euros, then he could leave. And while other huge clubs were interested, Juventus were the ones to make that offer, and Ronaldo was seduced by the idea of living in Italy and making history there, saying, "Juve have reached 2 finals. With me, they can win the Champions League." And with Zinedine Zidane also leaving, Ronaldo thought this was one of the little details that confirmed to me what I'd been thinking about the situation at the club. Ronaldo also wanted to leave Madrid on a high, near the peak of his abilities, so that he would be remembered as a legend. So, just like that, his 9 years in Real Madrid came to an end. 33 years old, still performing at the highest level, as in the summer, he scored a World Cup hat-trick for Portugal, making him the oldest player ever to do so. But with his Real Madrid legacy coming to an end, it's safe to say he's the greatest player in the history of that football club, and arguably the greatest football player of all time. How is it possible that at 33 years old, Cristiano Ronaldo moved to a brand new league, and despite being told he was too old, he still outscored everyone? And then, how is it possible that at 37 years old, Ronaldo returned to the hardest league in the world, and despite going through the worst trauma of his entire life, he was still one of the deadliest players in all of England? And now, how is it possible that at more than 40 dream of? This is the 3rd part of the story of Cristiano Ronaldo, and arguably the most insane, as, despite his growing age, increasing doubters, and serious personal struggles, he has still outplayed everyone. And this all began on the 10th of July 2018 as a 33-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo made a €100 million move to Juventus in what they described as the deal of the century. But despite the optimism on paper, this was a massive risk. Yes, Ronaldo was off the back of a world-class Champions League winning season with Real Madrid, but how many players can really go on past 33 and still dominate football? At the time, he was the 4th most expensive signing in football history, as only Neymar, Kylian Mbappe, and Philippe Coutinho had moved for bigger fees. And, unsurprisingly, the footballing world was skeptical. Ronaldo might have scored 44 goals in his final season at Real Madrid, but people were already calling him washed up. But Juventus knew better. They had found out that Madrid would accept a bid of roughly $100 million for Ronaldo, so Juventus president Andrea Agnelli went all out to bring CR7 to Italy, even flying to Greece to meet Ronaldo on holiday. Ronaldo, on the other hand, was ready to leave Real Madrid, saying, "I was no longer considered in the same way as I was at the beginning, having felt a loss of love from the club, so it was a perfect move for all parties." Juventus had been dominating Italy for years, but their squad was aging, and they desperately wanted to get their hands hands on a Champions League trophy, and that's why they saw Ronaldo as the perfect fit. As soon as Ronaldo's signing was confirmed, Juve's stock price went through the roof, climbing 33%. The club gained 10 million followers on social media platforms, and it more than doubled its shirt sponsorship deal. But despite the obvious brand value he brought, football is judged by what happens on the pitch, and the question remained, could a 33-year-old striker really move to a new league and dominate in the same way he used to? And quickly, the doubters would be given a reason to doubt some more, because Ronaldo didn't get off to the best of starts, because in his first 3 games, he didn't score a single goal, as Massimiliano Allegri kept switching Ronaldo's positions between a sole number 9 and a left winger, and even as part of a front 2, as he tried to incorporate both Ronaldo and Mario Mandzukic in his side. But finally, Ronaldo scored in his 4th game, tapping in a corner against Sassuolo in the 50th minute before grabbing a second goal on the 65th minute as Juventus won their opening 4 Serie A games. But those 2 goals would quickly be forgotten as things got even worse for Cristiano as he kicked off his Champions League campaign with a straight red card after just 29 minutes against Valencia. Ronaldo left the pitch in tears as he insisted he had done nothing wrong. But now the pressure was really starting to build for CR7 as expectations placed on him were just so high. But despite Ronaldo's slow start, Juventus won their first 8 matches in Serie A, with Ronaldo scoring 4 and getting 3 assists. And in the Champions League, after serving a 1-match ban, Ronaldo faced back-to-back games against his former club Manchester United, and in the second of those games, he got his first Champions League goal for Juventus, which was an absolutely insane volley. And back in Serie A, Juventus and Ronaldo went on a spectacular run, winning 8 more games in a row, with CR7 bagging 6 goals before finishing 2018 with a draw against Atalanta and a win over Sampdoria, with Ronaldo scoring 14 and getting 5 assists in the first half of the campaign. And just a few days later, Cristiano Ronaldo would win his first trophy for Juventus as the club traveled to Saudi Arabia to play AC Milan in the Supercoppa Italiana, with Ronaldo scoring the only goal of the game in Jeddah as Juventus won 1-0. And back in the Serie A, Juventus continued their unbeaten run, winning 6 of the next 7 games, with Ronaldo scoring 5 goals in that time as the old lady just dominated the Serie A. But come February, all focus was on the Champions League, because the world was about to witness one of the most dramatic games in Champions League history. Juve faced Atletico Madrid in the last 16 and suffered a disastrous 2-0 defeat at the Metropolitano, all but ending their Champions League hopes. If this was any other team with any other player, Atleti were going through. But Diego Simeone made one fatal error by mocking Cristiano after the game, and come the return fixture, Cristiano was not messing around. His towering header pulled 1 goal back for Juve on 27 minutes, and then he scored another header to level the game just after halftime, and with extra time looming, Federico Bernardeschi was brought down in the penalty area, and Ronaldo completed his hat-trick from the penalty spot to give Juventus a 3-2 aggregate win with his first hat-trick for the Bianconeri, as, of course, Mr. Champions League himself showed up when it really mattered. But just as he was hitting unstoppable momentum, a hamstring injury took him out for 6 Serie A games, which saw Juventus lose their first 2 league matches of the season, and his first game back was a Champions League quarterfinal against Ajax. Ronaldo scored again as Juventus drew the first leg 1-1, and he gave Juventus the lead in the second leg with his 5th goal in the past 3 knockout games. But in a shock result, Ajax scored twice and Juventus were eliminated, and from then on, Juve would only win 1 more game all season. But due to their incredible form in the start of the season, Juventus won the league easily, finishing the season on 90 points, 11 points clear of second-place Napoli, to give Ronaldo his first Scudetto, making him a league champion in Spain, England, and Italy, and, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo was named the league MVP as the then 34-year-old had just conquered Italian football on his first attempt. But Ronaldo wasn't done for the summer, as Portugal had reached the finals of the first ever UEFA Nations League, and in the semi-final against Switzerland in Porto, Ronaldo opened the scoring, but Switzerland leveled through a penalty before Ronaldo scored 2 late goals to complete another international hat-trick and take Portugal to the final against the Netherlands, which, of course, they won 1-0 to give Ronaldo another international trophy. Not too bad for a 34-year-old, but as you know, he was only going to get even better in Italy. because once again heading into the 1920 season, Juventus started the league on fire, going unbeaten in their first 14 games, with Ronaldo scoring 6 in the 11 games that he played. And in the Champions League, the old lady cruised to the top of Group D, winning 5 and drawing 1 of their games. But after missing a game against Atalanta in November, Ronaldo burst into life, going on his best goal-scoring run in Serie A so far. In the 10 Serie A games from December to early February, Ronaldo scored 15 goals, including his first Serie A hat-trick against Cagliari, and this incredible header against Sampdoria when Ronaldo leapt higher than the crossbar, defying gravity to head the ball from a height of 2.56 meters, proving that even at the age of 34, he is still capable of superhuman feats. And after being absent for 1 game, Ronaldo would score against Spal to equal the Serie A record of scoring in 11 consecutive games. But just as it seemed nothing could stop Ronaldo, life was about to get very difficult for him. A virus in Wuhan brought the world to a standstill. Football stopped for 3 months, and Juventus was one of the first teams to impose self-isolation on its players. And to make matters a lot worse, Ronaldo's mother had a mild stroke, so he traveled to his home island of Madeira and quarantined there. Thankfully, she recovered and returned to health. As for Cristiano, the only thing that is more important than football is his family, and that's why what happened in a few years' time nearly broke him as a man. But for now, football restarted with the second leg of the Coppa Italia semi-final, which was a goalless draw in front of empty stands, with Ronaldo missing a penalty kick. But his goal in the first leg was enough for Juventus to go through to the final on the away goals rule, and that final against Napoli a few days later was another goalless draw in an empty stadium. But Napoli won the penalty shootout 4-2 before Ronaldo even had a chance to score from the spot, proving for heartbreak in Turin. The Serie A restarted the following week, and angrier than ever, Ronaldo continued where he left off with 7 goals in 6 games and became the highest-scoring Portuguese player in the history of Serie A. And then 2 games later, his brace against Lazio meant he had now scored 50 goals for Juventus, becoming only the second player to have scored 50-plus goals in 3 of Europe's top 5 leagues. But Juventus once again ended the season poorly, limping over the line with just 2 wins in their final 8 matches. And despite wrapping up the title with 2 games to go, the Bianconeri only finished the season with 83 points, just 1 ahead of Inter Milan, and that poor form had come at the worst time, as the Champions League resumed with the round of 16 immediately after the end of the season, with Juve chasing a 1-goal deficit from the first leg against Lyon. And even though Ronaldo scored twice, including this wonder strike, Memphis Depay also scored to put Lyon through on away goals, and yet again, Juve crashed out of the Champions League with no signs of getting close to lifting it. But those 2 goals from Ronaldo meant he broke Juventus' scoring record for a single season with 37 goals in all competitions. It was clear that, as much as he was performing, the team around him was declining, and this would only prove more true heading into his 3rd season in Italy. Maurizio Sarri was sacked over the summer, and Ronaldo would have his 3rd Juventus head coach in 3 seasons, Andrea Pirlo. And despite having no preseason, Pirlo got off to a perfect start, winning 3-0 at Sampdoria, with Ronaldo scoring the 3rd, and after that, he got both goals in a 2-2 draw against Roma. But then Cristiano Ronaldo was knocked off his feet as he caught COVID-19, testing positive while on international duty and missing 2 Serie A and 2 Champions League games, and by the time he returned, Juventus were only 5th in the league. But Cristiano was performing at a level never seen in Italy from him, with 8 goals in the 5 matches he played. But Juventus were just struggling to convert draws into wins, especially in the games that Ronaldo missed. And when they lost 3-0 to Fiorentina in December, Juventus fell to 6th in the Serie A at the end of the year, but in the Champions League group stage, the return of Ronaldo was key as he led Juventus to 4 victories, including a 3-0 win over Barcelona, with CR7 bagging 2 of the goals to help Juventus win their group. Meanwhile, in the Coppa Italia, Juventus blasted through the early rounds to set up a semi-final against Inter Milan in February, where Ronaldo grabbed Juventus' 2 goals in the first leg to see them win 2-1 on aggregate. But for once, Ronaldo's goals dried up a bit during the winter, and in an extremely tight Serie A table, Juventus lost games to rivals Inter Milan and Napoli, so were unable to break into the top 2 spots in the league. And in the Champions League, Juventus lost on away goals to Porto in the round of 16, and once again failed to progress far through the knockout stages of the competition, proving for the worst Champions League run CR7 has had in years. But back to the Serie A, Ronaldo had rediscovered his shooting boots, scoring 7 in 5 games in February and March, including a hat-trick against Cagliari, but Juventus as a whole continued to splutter, and in early May a 3-0 loss to AC Milan saw them drop back down to 5th with 3 games to go, but Ronaldo scored in the next game against Sassuolo to help Juve win 3-1, and that was his 100th goal for Juventus, making him the fastest Juventus player to reach a century of goals. He would score again in the next game against top-of-the-table Inter Milan to give the Bianconeri a vital win going into the final game of the season. But before that, Juventus had the Coppa Italia final against Atalanta, where Ronaldo gave everything to help Juve win 2-1 and lift the cup, meaning that Ronaldo had won every major trophy in Spain, England, and Italy. But Juventus were still in 5th place going into the final game of the season against Bologna, and in this must-win game, Ronaldo was left on the substitutes bench for what Pirlo claimed was a technical reason, saying that Ronaldo had sacrificed himself to win the cup, and without Ronaldo, Juve won comfortably against mid-table Bologna and finished 4th, just a point behind 2nd, but 13 points off the title. This season also proved record-breaking for Cristiano as he finally added the Italian Golden Boot to his trophy cabinet, finishing the Serie A season with 29 goals, 5 more than Inter's Romelu Lukaku, making him the first player to be top goal scorer in Italy, Spain, and England. And remember, he's 36 years old at this point. But now, speculation was starting to build that Ronaldo would leave Juventus before the start of the season, and this ran all through the summer, but the same summer saw Ronaldo head off to the Euros, where Portugal, unfortunately, couldn't retain their title with a first knockout round exit to Belgium. The rest of the summer was dominated by rumors that Pep Guardiola's Manchester City and Ronaldo reached a verbal agreement to join them, but in one of the most shocking transfer stories of all time, Cristiano Ronaldo received a call from Sir Alex Ferguson and within 48 hours had officially signed as a Manchester United player yet again. After 3 years in Juventus, where he scored more goals than any other player in that same time span, the stage was set for a return to the Premier League, the league known as the hardest in the world. And of course, the doubters were back in full force, saying he wouldn't be able to hold his own at such an old age. His arrival, signs of unrest could have been seen in the dressing room as Edinson Cavani gave up his number 7 shirt for Cristiano. This transfer was completed in August, which meant that Ronaldo had no preseason and had already missed the first 3 games of United's Premier League campaign. But Ronaldo made his debut in the 4th match of the season against Newcastle, where he got off to a dream start, scoring the opening goal of the game by tapping home a rebound, then later getting on the end of a Luke Shaw through ball to double his tally as United rocked to a 4-1 win. And Manchester United fans entered dreamland. A team of Pogba, Bruno, Sancho, Rashford, and now Ronaldo was sure to bring them back to the glory days, right? A few days later, Cristiano was back in Champions League action, scoring the opening goal against Young Boys, who shocked United by scoring a last-minute winner. But Ronaldo would keep his strong start to the season by scoring against West Ham the next weekend. Then, he finished the month with a last-minute winner of his own, playing against Villarreal in the Champions League. In the Champions League, Ronaldo kept doing his stuff, scoring 6 goals in 5 group stage games, including a double against Atalanta, to ensure Manchester United finished top of Group F. But the Premier League was a different matter, as key injuries against Aston Villa weakened the team's defense, and in that match, United would get a last-minute penalty. But instead of penalty king Ronaldo taking it, Bruno Fernandes took the spot kick instead, but Fernandes smashed the ball over the bar, meaning United lost, and then went on a run of 4 defeats in 5 games, the only win coming against Tottenham Hotspur, where Ronaldo got a goal and an assist in that game. The pressure was now mounting on Solskjaer, who was the Man United manager, until he eventually got the sack, with Michael Carrick coming in to replace him for 2 tough games against Chelsea and Arsenal, where Ronaldo scored twice, including the 800th goal of his career, to give United a 3-2 win. But then United brought in German manager Ralf Rangnick, and despite scoring against Norwich and Burnley, Ronaldo had a rare goalless spell, failing to score against Wolves, Brentford, West Ham, Burnley, and Southampton in his longest goal drought in more than a decade. Ronaldo even missed a penalty against Middlesbrough in the FA Cup and was dropped to the bench against Burnley. And by this stage, his critics were starting to write articles claiming he's too old and needs to hang up his boots. On February 15th against Brighton, he failed to score in the first 10 minutes, making the Baron run his worst goal drought since his move to Real Madrid, going 546 minutes without scoring. But finally, in the 51st minute of that game, Ronaldo's strike from the edge of the box hit the back of the net to register his first goal of 2022. And a month later, Ronaldo was right back on form as he bagged a hat-trick against Tottenham, including this phenomenal strike, before scoring another hat-trick in April against Norwich as he was firing on all fronts for United. But this is when tragedy struck for Cristiano. You see, Ronaldo and his partner Georgina Rodriguez had been expecting twins, but when it came to the birth, only one twin survived, with the other, sadly, not making it out alive. This was without a doubt the toughest moment in Ronaldo's life, as no parent should ever suffer the loss of a child. Ronaldo said only the birth of his twin sister gave him the strength to live after the death of his baby boy. Obviously, this affected him a lot mentally, and as he returned to football, it was clear he was suffering. Tributes from the world poured in, like rival Liverpool fans offering a standing ovation in the 7th minute of their next match, showing in times like this, rivalry doesn't exist. Back in the Premier League, Ronaldo scored 3 goals in the final few games of the season to finish the season on 24 goals in total, with 18 in the league, making him the 3rd highest scorer that season after Mo Salah and Son Heung-min. He was also named in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season at 37 years old, while suffering one of the worst heartbreaks of his career, meaning, yet again, Cristiano Ronaldo proved everyone wrong. But as despite the individual performances, Manchester United only managed to finish 6th in what was the club's worst season since 1990, and they didn't win a trophy, making it the first season Cristiano Ronaldo has gone trophyless since 2010. And this is when Manchester United appointed Erik ten Hag as head coach, who, let's just say, was going to have a few problems with Cristiano. It started in preseason, as Ronaldo did not turn up for the preseason tour, as reports were coming out that he pushed for a transfer to leave the club that summer, saying the club lacked ambition. But nevertheless, he remained a Red for the next season, where Ten Hag became the first Manchester United manager in 100 years to lose both of his first 2 league games, including a 4-0 loss to Brentford, which was the only game that Cristiano Ronaldo started in the league until November, as Ten Hag relegated the team's top scorer from the year before to the substitutes bench. Ronaldo could only get a chance to start in the Europa League games, where he scored twice and got 2 assists as United cruised through Group E. But in the league, Ronaldo didn't get to play a single minute of the Manchester Derby, where Ten Hag's side were humiliated 6-3 by Manchester City. When Anthony Martial got injured against Everton, the Dutch head coach was forced to play Ronaldo, who, of course, scored the winning goal, just to find himself on the bench again for the game against Spurs. And when he refused to come on as a late substitute, Ten Hag suspended him for 1 match, and he only got to play in 2 more games after that, before the Premier League took an extended break for the Qatar World Cup. But by this point, Ronaldo had had enough, and before heading to Qatar, he did an interview with Piers Morgan where he said Manchester United hadn't evolved at all since Ferguson left, and that the club couldn't be compared to Real Madrid or Juventus. And he also said Ten Hag had shown him no respect, calling out the manager and basically killing any future he had at Old Trafford. United were fuming after this interview and terminated his contract, ending his long association with the club. In hindsight, Cristiano Ronaldo appears to have been proven right about his comments about Manchester United, as Erik ten Hag eventually got the sack, and United sit in their worst position they have been in decades. But still, it was clear Ronaldo had to go. But that winter of 2022 was about to get worse for Ronaldo, as he captained Portugal at the Qatar World Cup, which could have been his last ever chance at World Cup glory. It started well enough, with Ronaldo becoming the first player to score at 5 different World Cups when he scored a penalty in Portugal's opening match win against Ghana. But when he appeared to sulk over his substitution against South Korea, and head coach Fernando Santos dropped Ronaldo for the round of 16 game against Switzerland, and as Portugal cruised to a 6-1 victory, Ronaldo was kept on the bench for the quarterfinal against Morocco, only coming on when Portugal were already losing 1-0. But he just did not have enough time to make an impact, so Portugal were eliminated from the World Cup, and Ronaldo's club and international future looked uncertain in what was easily the toughest point in his entire career. Cristiano returned from the World Cup clubless, and this is when he was handed an offer that he simply could not refuse, as Saudi side Al Nassr offered to make the 37-year-old the best paid footballer in the world and start a footballing revolution in the Middle East. Just the annual salary at Al Nassr was 200 million euros a year, not to mention the commercial packages layered on top. At the time, Saudi Arabia was not known as one of the top football destinations, and the country's strategy was that other big-name players would come there because they wanted to play in the same league as Ronaldo. Once Cristiano put pen to paper, the footballing world thought this was just a retirement contract. He was going to fade out of scoring goals and fade out of the national team. But the opposite was going to happen, as it wouldn't be long before Cristiano Ronaldo was yet again the top scorer in the entire world. He made his as Saudi Arabia's Ronaldo gamble paid off, and big names followed him to the Middle East. But none of those superstars could keep up with Ronaldo. Scored 20 league goals for Al Nassr, and when goals for club and country are combined, he had 54 goals for the calendar year, making him the top scorer in world football in 2023, outscoring Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, and Erling Haaland, meaning that at 38 years old, Ronaldo had become the world's top scorer for the 5th time in his career. But while he kept scoring in 2024, including hat-tricks against Al-Tai, Abha, and Al-Wehda, it wasn't enough for Al Nassr to keep up with superstars of Al-Hilal, so Ronaldo missed out on the Saudi Pro League title and also lost out to Al-Hilal in the Kings Cup, losing on penalties in the final. But Ronaldo did win the Golden Boot, and not just win it, he won it by a mile, with 35 goals, 7 more than closest rival Alexander Mitrovic, showing that even though the other superstars who came to Saudi Arabia thought it would be easy, none of them could get close to Ronaldo. But with Saudi Arabia attracting more and more top players, repeating that feat would be hard, especially as Al Nassr were struggling to compete with Al Hilal and Al Ittihad. But Ronaldo started the season strongly with 6 goals in his first 7 games, as Al Nassr went 10 games unbeaten. And at this time, he scored his 441st goal of his 30s, meaning Ronaldo had actually scored more goals in his 30s than in his 20s. In fact, he scored more in his 30s than Wayne Rooney, the second highest Premier League goal scorer of all time, had scored in his entire career. And after this, Ronaldo just kept scoring. In one spell midway through the season, he hit 10 goals in 9 games, but Al Nassr ended the season poorly with 3 wins in their final 7 games and finished 13 points behind champions Al Ittihad. But yet again, Ronaldo was the league's top scorer with 25 goals, 2 ahead of England international Ivan Toney. Looking back to the Portugal national team, many thought that moving to the Saudi League would put an end to his top-level performances, but that couldn't have been further from the truth, as Ronaldo was still going strong for Portugal, who would reach the Nations League finals, where Ronaldo scored in the quarterfinal against Denmark and the winning goal in the semi-final against Germany to set up a final against Spain. And while Ronaldo scored in the final too, he picked up an injury, so he couldn't take part in the penalty shootout. But Portugal eventually overcame Spain on penalties to win the Nations League for a second time, as this proved a significant victory of Yamal's Spain, proving the future of football has not quite taken over from the king. Now at 40 years old, Ronaldo has signed a new 2-year contract with Al Nassr, somehow making him even more money than the last one, with an even percent ownership in the club itself. And now the only thing in Cristiano's mind is the summer of 2026, as he looks to play what is definitely going to be the last World Cup of his entire career. One last shot to make his dream come true. Cristiano Ronaldo, good luck.